Ladies and gentlemen, imagine this. You wake up tomorrow and the only things you have left are the things you thanked God for today. Just pause and think about that for a moment. Most of us begin our days the same way, waking up to an alarm, checking our phones, thinking about everything we need to do, everything that's missing, everything that could go wrong. Before our feet even touch the floor, stress has already taken hold. The first thought you have when you wake up in the morning is more powerful than most people realize. It's not just a passing idea, it's the foundation upon which the rest of your day is built. That first moment, before your feet even touch the floor, sets the tone for how you will think, feel, and respond to everything that follows. But here's the problem. For most of us, our first thought is not intentional. It's automatic. And more often than not, it's filled with stress, worry, or negativity. The alarm goes off, and instead of feeling grateful for another day, we groan. We think about how tired we are, how much we have to do, or how little we want to get up. Many of us grab our phones immediately, scrolling through emails, news, or social media, allowing outside forces to dictate how we start our day. Before we even take a deep breath, our mind is already cluttered with distractions and obligations. But what if we took control of that first thought? What if we made the conscious decision to start the day with gratitude, purpose, and faith instead of stress? Because the truth is, while we may not always have control over what happens during the day, we do have control over how we begin it. Think about how different your day would feel if the very first thing you did was acknowledge the simple yet profound blessing of waking up. If your first thought was, "Thank you, God, for another day." If your first feeling was appreciation rather than frustration. That single shift could change everything. There is a reason why so many successful and fulfilled people emphasize the importance of a strong morning routine. Science even backs this up. Studies show that the thoughts we have in the first few moments of waking up have a lasting impact on our mood, energy, and focus throughout the day. The brain is most impressionable in the morning, meaning whatever we allow into our minds first sets a pattern for how we process everything else. Imagine two people waking up in the morning. The first person starts the day in a rush, snoozing the alarm multiple times, waking up feeling behind, scrolling through bad news, and thinking about all the problems they need to deal with. Their mindset is already one of stress and scarcity before they've even left their bed. The second person, however, takes a different approach. They wake up and pause. They take a deep breath and remind themselves that today is a gift, not a burden. Instead of focusing on stress, they focus on gratitude, on what they have rather than what they lack. They take a moment to align their thoughts with faith and purpose. And because they begin their day with a mindset of abundance rather than anxiety, they carry that energy with them into everything they do. It's not about ignoring challenges or pretending that life is perfect. It's about recognizing that how we approach the day matters just as much as what happens during it. Challenges will come, obstacles will arise. But if our foundation is strong, if our first thought is rooted in gratitude and faith, we are far more prepared to handle whatever comes our way. This is why so many spiritual teachings, personal development practices, and high-performance habits emphasize the importance of the morning mindset. Because when we choose to start the day with intention, we take back control. Instead of reacting to life, we lead it. Instead of allowing stress to dictate our mood, we set the tone ourselves. Instead of waiting for something good to happen, we decide to see the good that is already here. It doesn't require a major life change. It doesn't take hours of practice. It starts with one simple decision. What will my first thought be tomorrow morning? Will it be one of stress or one of gratitude? Will it be one of worry or one of faith? Because that first thought shapes everything that follows. Gratitude is often misunderstood. Many people believe it's an emotion, something that comes naturally when good things happen. When life is going well, when opportunities fall into place, when we receive kindness from others, we feel grateful. But what happens when life isn't perfect? What happens on the hard days, when things don't go as planned, when challenges seem overwhelming? That's when true gratitude is tested. Gratitude is not just a feeling, it's a choice. It's not something that happens to us, it's something we actively decide to practice. If we wait until we feel grateful, we will only experience it in fleeting moments, and only when circumstances align in our favor. But when we choose gratitude, even when life is difficult, we gain the ability to shape our perspective instead of letting our circumstances shape us. Think about the people who seem to radiate joy despite facing hardship, the ones who remain hopeful even in the midst of uncertainty, the ones who find reasons to be thankful even when life is far from perfect. What do they have that others don't? It's not that they have easier lives. It's not that they've avoided pain or disappointment. It's that they have trained themselves to look for the good even when it's hard to find. And that's the key. Gratitude is a lens through which we see the world. Two people can go through the exact same situation, yet experience it completely differently based on how they choose to perceive it. One person may focus on what's missing, what's unfair, what's frustrating. The other may focus on what's still good, what's still possible, what's still a blessing. The difference isn't in their circumstances, it's in their mindset. Choosing gratitude doesn't mean ignoring difficulties or pretending life is perfect. It means acknowledging that even in struggle, there is still something to be thankful for. It means shifting the focus from what we lack to what we have. It means recognizing that while we may not always have control over what happens to us, we do have control over how we respond. One of the most powerful aspects of gratitude is that it transforms not only our mindset, but also our actions. When we choose gratitude, we naturally become more present. We stop taking things for granted. We appreciate the little moments, the kindness of a stranger, the beauty of nature, the simple joy of a conversation with a loved one. We stop seeing life as something we are entitled to and start seeing it as something we are privileged to experience. Life will always have challenges, setbacks, and unexpected turns, but when we train ourselves to find something to be thankful for in every situation, we develop a strength that allows us to keep going. Instead of dwelling on what's wrong, we focus on what we can learn, how we can grow, and what we still have to be grateful for. There will always be reasons to complain, just as there will always be reasons to be grateful. The question is, which one will we choose to focus on? Because gratitude is not about waiting for life to be perfect. It's about recognizing that even in the imperfection, there is still something good. And the more we choose gratitude, the more we begin to see just how much we already have. When people think about blessings, they often picture something grand, something life-changing, something extraordinary. A dream job, financial success, a major achievement, or a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And while these moments are certainly worth celebrating, the reality is that blessings come in all shapes and sizes. Some are obvious, but many are small, quiet, and easily overlooked. Yet those small blessings are just as important because they are the ones that sustain us every single day. The challenge is that we are conditioned to focus on what's missing rather than what's present. We are constantly chasing the next big thing, the next goal, the next milestone, believing that happiness and gratitude will follow once we get there. But in that chase, we often ignore the simple gifts that are already in front of us. The ability to wake up in the morning, to breathe without effort, to hear the laughter of a loved one, to have food on the table, to feel the warmth of the sun. These are not small blessings. They are extraordinary gifts that we often fail to acknowledge because we've become so used to them. Consider this. If something were taken away from us, a sense, a loved one, the ability to walk, our health, how quickly would we realize how much we took it for granted? Yet when we have these things, we rarely stop to appreciate them. We assume they will always be there, until one day, they're not. This is why recognizing small blessings is so powerful. It shifts our mindset from one of lack to one of abundance. When we train ourselves to see the little things as blessings, we begin to realize just how much we already have. We no longer wait for something extraordinary to feel grateful. We see the extraordinary in the everyday. The taste of our favorite meal, the comfort of a warm bed, the kindness of a stranger, the ability to learn, to think, to create. The people who check in on us, who love us, who support us in ways we may not always notice. These are not minor things. They are the very fabric of a life worth living. And when we start recognizing these small blessings, something changes. We stop feeling like we are constantly in a race to have more and start realizing how much we already have. We stop comparing our lives to others and start valuing what is uniquely ours. We stop waiting for happiness to arrive in some distant future and start experiencing it in the present moment. There's a saying, what if you woke up tomorrow with only the things you thanked God for today? It's a humbling thought because it reminds us of how much we overlook, How often do we pause to say thank you for the little things, the things we assume will always be there? What if, instead of waiting for big blessings, we started acknowledging the ones we already have? Because the truth is, small blessings are still blessings. And when we start recognizing them, we begin to see that we have been surrounded by gifts all along. There are two ways to see the world: through a lens of scarcity or a lens of abundance. The lens we choose shapes our thoughts, decisions, and ultimately the life we experience. A scarcity mindset tells us that there is never enough. Never enough time, money, success, happiness, or opportunity. It keeps us in a constant state of comparison, fear, and competition. It makes us believe that if someone else wins, we lose. That if one person gets ahead, we fall behind. It convinces us that happiness and success are limited resources, and we must fight for our share before someone else takes it. But here's the truth: life is not a fixed pie where one person's gain automatically means another's loss. Abundance is all around us, but we have to train ourselves to see it. The shift from scarcity to abundance isn't about magically acquiring more. It's about changing how we perceive what we already have. Think about how often we focus on what we lack. How often do we wake up thinking about what we don't have instead of what we do? We focus on the job we wish we had, the money we wish we earned, the relationships we wish were different. We tell ourselves we'll be happy when we get that promotion, when we achieve that goal, when things finally go our way. But in doing so, we overlook everything that is already good, already working, already enough. Shifting to an abundance mindset means recognizing that blessings are not in short supply. There is always something to be grateful for, always something to appreciate, always an opportunity to give, learn, and grow. It's not about denying challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It's about realizing that even in difficult moments, there is still more available to us than we often acknowledge. An abundance mindset transforms how we approach life. It allows us to celebrate other people's success instead of resenting it. It frees us from the constant pressure of comparison and competition. It helps us make decisions based on faith rather than fear. When we believe there is enough for everyone, we stop holding back. We stop operating out of a place of anxiety and start embracing possibilities. Consider generosity. People with a scarcity mindset hesitate to give because they believe they might not have enough for themselves. But people with an abundance mindset give freely, not just money, but time, encouragement, and kindness, because they trust that more will always come. They understand that the more we give, the more we create. Love, joy, success, these things multiply when shared. Scarcity keeps us small. It keeps us trapped in a cycle of never feeling like we have enough, like we are enough. But abundance reminds us that we already have so much more than we realize. It challenges us to shift our focus, to stop chasing happiness in the future and start recognizing it in the present. It teaches us that life is not about hoarding blessings, but about appreciating and sharing them. The real question is, which mindset will we choose? Will we see limits or will we see possibilities? Will we live in fear of losing or will we trust that there is always more? Because abundance isn't just about what we have. It's about how we choose to see the world. Faith and gratitude are deeply connected. One cannot exist fully without the other. Faith gives us the strength to trust in what we cannot see, while gratitude allows us to appreciate what we already have. Together, they shape our mindset, our actions, and the way we navigate life's challenges. At its core, faith is about trust. It's about believing that even in the uncertainty, even in the waiting, even in the struggle, something greater is at work. It is the belief that we are not alone, that there is a plan, and that things are unfolding in a way that serves our highest good, even if we don't understand it yet. But faith is not always easy. It requires patience. It requires surrender. It requires us to keep moving forward even when we don't have all the answers. This is where gratitude comes in. Gratitude is what strengthens our faith. When we take time to recognize the blessings we have already received, we build trust in what is yet to come. When we look back and see how challenges have shaped us, how difficulties have led to growth, and how things have worked out in ways we never expected, our faith becomes stronger. We begin to see patterns, evidence that life is not just a series of random events, but a carefully woven journey filled with purpose. But when we lack gratitude, faith becomes difficult. Without gratitude, we focus on what's missing instead of what's present. We become impatient, restless, and doubtful. We begin to question whether things will ever work out, whether our prayers are being heard, whether we are truly being guided. A lack of gratitude weakens our ability to trust. It makes us feel like we are constantly waiting for something more instead of appreciating what is already here. Faith and gratitude also shape how we handle life's hardships. When we are faced with struggles, we have two choices. We can focus on what's wrong, or we can focus on what remains. Faith tells us that even in the darkest moments, there is still light ahead. Gratitude reminds us that even in difficulty, there is still something to be thankful for. Together, they allow us to shift our perspective, not by ignoring pain, but by seeing beyond it. Think about the moments in your life when things didn't go as planned. Maybe you faced disappointment, heartbreak, or loss. In those moments, it's easy to lose faith. It's easy to dwell on what went wrong and wonder why things didn't work out the way you wanted. But looking back, how many times have you seen that what felt like a setback was actually a setup for something greater? That what you thought was a closed door was actually redirecting you to something better. Gratitude helps us see that. And faith helps us trust it even when we can't see it yet. Faith and gratitude also transform our daily lives. When we start each day with gratitude, we remind ourselves that we are already blessed. We focus on what we have instead of what we lack. And when we walk through life with faith, we stop being consumed by fear. We stop worrying about things beyond our control. We stop carrying the weight of uncertainty alone. Instead, we move forward with trust, knowing that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. A grateful heart strengthens faith, and a faithful heart deepens gratitude. Together, they allow us to live with more peace, more joy, and more purpose. They remind us that life is not about waiting for everything to be perfect before we feel thankful, but about recognizing that even now, even here, we already have more than enough. Gratitude is often thought of as a feeling, something we experience when life is going well, when good things happen, when we receive kindness from others. But true gratitude is more than just a feeling. It is a force that drives action. It is not passive, it is active. When we cultivate gratitude in our lives, it doesn't just change how we think, it changes what we do. At its core, gratitude shifts our focus. Instead of dwelling on what we lack, it directs our attention to what we already have. Instead of feeling entitled to more, it makes us appreciative of what is already present. This shift in perspective is powerful because it fuels positive action. When we recognize our blessings, we feel a natural desire to give, to serve, and to contribute. Consider how gratitude impacts generosity. People who are grateful do not hoard what they have. They don't operate from a mindset of scarcity, fearing that if they give, they will be left with less. Instead, they understand that they already have enough, and because of that, they are willing to share. Whether it's time, energy, resources, or kindness, gratitude moves us to give because we realize how much we have already received. Gratitude also fuels kindness. When we take time to acknowledge the good in our lives, we become more aware of the struggles of others. We recognize that just as we have been supported, we have the ability to support others. Small acts of kindness, a word of encouragement, a simple gesture of appreciation, a helping hand come naturally to those who live with gratitude. It is difficult to be bitter, resentful, or selfish when we are actively acknowledging how much we have to be thankful for. Another way gratitude creates positive action is through resilience. Life is filled with challenges, setbacks, and disappointments, but gratitude strengthens us to keep moving forward. It reminds us that even in hardship, there is still something to be thankful for. This mindset doesn't eliminate difficulties, but it changes how we approach them. Instead of seeing obstacles as roadblocks, we begin to see them as opportunities for growth. Instead of being consumed by negativity, we focus on solutions. Instead of allowing difficulties to paralyze us, we take action, knowing that every challenge carries a lesson, and every struggle has the potential to shape us for the better. Gratitude also plays a role in personal growth and achievement. When we approach life with appreciation, we become more motivated to make the most of what we have. We stop taking opportunities for granted and start using them to their fullest potential. We work harder, not because we feel pressure to achieve, but because we recognize that every day is a gift. People who practice gratitude don't wait for inspiration to act. They take action because they understand that today is an opportunity that may not come again. Another way gratitude fuels action is through relationships. When we are grateful for the people in our lives, we treat them differently. We express appreciation more often. We listen more attentively. We invest in our relationships with intentionality. Gratitude deepens connections because it reminds us not to take people for granted. It pushes us to show up for others, to offer encouragement, and to be present in meaningful ways. Ultimately, gratitude is a catalyst. It transforms how we think, and in doing so, it transforms how we act. It moves us to give more, to serve more, to love more. It strengthens our ability to overcome challenges and deepens our sense of purpose. It reminds us that life is not just about what we receive, but about what we contribute. When we live with gratitude, we don't just feel thankful, we become people who take action to make the world a better place. Resilience is often thought of as a strength, the ability to endure hardship, to keep moving forward despite setbacks, to rise after every fall. But true resilience is not just about endurance. It is not just about pushing through difficulties. It is about how we perceive those difficulties, how we respond to them, and ultimately how we grow from them. And at the core of resilience is gratitude. Gratitude is what allows us to see beyond the struggle. It shifts our focus from what has been lost to what still remains. It reminds us that even in the midst of adversity, there is still something to hold on to, still something to be thankful for, still something that makes life meaningful. Without gratitude, challenges feel insurmountable. Every setback feels like a failure. Every hardship feels like a reason to give up. But when gratitude is present, it changes everything. When life becomes difficult, the first instinct for many is to dwell on what has gone wrong. The mind fixates on loss, disappointment, and frustration. It is easy to fall into a cycle of negativity, to focus on how unfair life can be, to believe that challenges are nothing more than obstacles designed to break us. But gratitude disrupts this cycle. It forces us to shift our perspective. It asks us to look deeper, not to ignore the pain, but to recognize that even within the struggle, there are still things to appreciate. Think about the toughest moments in your life, the times when you felt like you had nothing left, when the weight of circumstances felt overwhelming, and yet you made it through. Why? Because even in those moments, there was something that sustained you. Maybe it was the support of a loved one. Maybe it was a lesson you learned. Maybe it was simply the realization that you were stronger than you thought. Whatever it was, those small but significant things were blessings, and recognizing them, choosing to focus on them, was an act of resilience in itself. Gratitude builds resilience because it helps us reframe our struggles. Instead of seeing hardships as unfair burdens, we begin to see them as opportunities for growth. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we start asking, "What can I learn from this?" This shift in perspective is what allows us to endure, not just with strength, but with purpose. Another way gratitude fuels resilience is by reminding us of our past victories. When we face new challenges, it is easy to feel as if we won't make it through. But gratitude calls us to remember. It reminds us of all the times we thought we wouldn't survive, yet we did. It reminds us of the moments we once took for granted, the moments of joy, the acts of kindness, the small wins that helped us move forward. And when we acknowledge those things, we gain confidence. We realize that if we overcame challenges before, we can do it again. Gratitude also keeps us from becoming consumed by hardship. Resilience is not just about enduring pain. It is about maintaining hope in the midst of it. When we practice gratitude, we train our minds to see beyond suffering. We recognize that life is not defined solely by difficulties, but by the entire spectrum of experiences, both the highs and the lows. This perspective prevents us from becoming stuck in negativity. It allows us to move forward with a sense of possibility rather than defeat. Moreover, gratitude connects us to others. No one builds resilience alone. The strongest people are those who recognize the support, love, and kindness that surround them. When we are grateful for the people in our lives, those who encourage us, who stand by us, who remind us of our worth, we find strength in community. We understand that we are never truly alone, and that knowledge gives us the courage to keep going. In the end, resilience is not just about surviving. It is about thriving despite the challenges we face. It is about facing adversity with a mindset that says, "This may be difficult, but there is still good in my life." It is about refusing to let hardship define us and instead choosing to find meaning, growth, and gratitude in every experience. Because gratitude is not just something we feel when life is easy. It is the foundation that allows us to stand firm when life is hard.